Did you know the Bible contains an actual seance? That's right. One of the most bizarre and chilling supernatural encounters in ancient literature happens right in the pages of Scripture. I'm talking about King Saul's desperate midnight visit to the Witch of Endor, where a terrified medium summons the spirit of a dead prophet and gets way more than she bargained for. This isn't some obscure footnote. It's a pivotal moment that changed the course of biblical history. Yet most people have never heard the full story. Trust me, this is about to blow your mind. Picture this. Israel's first king, once mighty and favored by God, now disguising himself in the dead of night to seek out a woman he previously outlawed. A woman with forbidden powers. Why would a king risk everything for such a desperate act? Because sometimes, fear can drive even the most powerful people to their breaking point. The story begins with King Saul facing an impossible situation. The massive Philistine army is preparing for battle, and Saul is absolutely terrified. He tries everything to get divine guidance. Dreams, prophets, sacred objects. But nothing. Complete silence from above. And there's a devastating reason for that silence, which I'll reveal in just a moment. Now you might be thinking, wait, didn't the Bible forbid contacting the dead? You're absolutely right, and that's what makes this story so fascinating. Saul himself had actually banned mediums and spiritists from Israel. Yet here he is, breaking his own law in a moment of desperation. That's how you know things have gotten really bad. So under the cover of darkness, Saul disguises himself and travels with two companions to find the witch. When they arrive, she's immediately suspicious. Don't you know the king has banned people like me? Are you trying to get me killed? I can only imagine the tension in that small, dimly lit room. Saul swears an oath that no harm will come to her, and finally reveals what he wants. Bring up Samuel for me. Samuel was the revered prophet who had anointed Saul as king but had died some time before. The medium begins her ritual, expecting her usual familiar spirit to appear, but something extraordinary happens instead. The woman suddenly screams in terror. Something has appeared that she clearly wasn't expecting. And in that moment, she realizes exactly who her disguised visitor is. "You're King Saul! Why have you deceived me?" Her reaction tells us something profound. Whatever is happening is beyond her control, beyond her usual experience. Now, here's where scholars have debated for centuries. What actually appeared? Was it truly the spirit of Samuel? A demonic impersonation? An elaborate illusion? The text itself describes a divine being coming up from the earth, who appears as an old man wrapped in a robe. Whatever appeared, it delivered one of the most chilling prophecies in Scripture. The Spirit speaks with Samuel's authority and delivers devastating news. The Lord has torn the kingdom from your hand and given it to David. Tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me. That is, you'll be dead, and Israel's army will be defeated. Can you imagine hearing those words? Your death foretold, your legacy ended, everything you've built about to crumble. No wonder Saul collapses to the ground, physically and emotionally broken. And here's a detail that's often overlooked. The witch, despite practicing a forbidden art, shows remarkable compassion. Seeing Saul's distress, she prepares a meal for him, killing her fatted calf, making bread, and urging him to eat to regain his strength for the journey ahead. It's a strangely tender moment in such a dark story. The next day, everything happens exactly as predicted. The Philistines defeat Israel's army. Saul's sons are killed. And Saul, wounded and desperate to avoid capture, falls on his own sword. The prophecy is fulfilled completely. This story raises so many questions. If necromancy is forbidden, how could Samuel actually appear? If it wasn't Samuel, how did this entity correctly predict the future? And why would God allow such an encounter to occur at all? I think that's what makes this story so compelling. It exists in this mysterious spiritual gray area. It shows us a king who started with such promise, but whose pattern of disobedience led to spiritual isolation. When legitimate channels of communication with God were closed, he turned to forbidden practices, only to hear his doom confirmed. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Where do you turn when you feel spiritually disconnected? When you're facing impossible odds? This ancient story reminds us that our choices in moments of desperation reveal our true character. If you found this exploration fascinating, hit that like button right now. There are so many more mysterious and supernatural encounters in ancient texts waiting to be unpacked. Subscribe to join me on this journey through history's most enigmatic spiritual moments. And tell me in the comments, what biblical mystery should we explore next? Until next time, remember, sometimes the most profound spiritual truths are hidden in the stories we think we already know.